Hello guys, Ralph Forex here. So today I want to introduce you guys to like a concept in trading, or rather a trading strategy that you can implement to increase your win rate by about 20 to 30%. So let's get into it. Today we'll be talking about supply and demand. So I'm going to be teaching you guys about supply and demand, how to identify supply zones, demand zones, how to implement that in your trading so that you can improve your win rate by about 30%. So, what is supply and what is demand? So, basically, a demand is just simply the demand for a product. So, a consumer in the marketplace is going to make a demand for a product. So, when you go to the marketplace, in every marketplace, first of all, you need to understand that the concept of demand and supply holds in every marketplace. So, if you're going to a marketplace, you have something in mind, right? You have a demand for a good, for a service, for a product, for whatever. And a supply, on the supply side of things, every demand, in order for the consumer to be satisfied, he needs to be supplied with the goods he's demanding for. So whatever his demand is, if it's met with supply, then there's exchange, right? There'll be exchange of goods, there'll be exchange of services, and everybody will be satisfied. The supplier is going to make money, the consumer is going to get the goods that they demanded for. So for every exchange to be possible in the marketplace, the rules of demand and supply have to be met, right? Demand and supply have to be met. So this works for the marketplace as well. For forex trading, in forex trading, for example, if you want to buy a currency, right, someone has to be willing to sell. And if you want to sell, someone has to be willing to buy. It's all about exchange. So for every seller, there's a corresponding buyer. For every buyer, there's a corresponding seller. And we can spot this using the charts just by reading um, price action. We can be able to tell where majority of people are willing to sell and where majority of people are willing to buy. Now there's a fine difference between supply and resistance. So a supply zone and a resistance level, or a demand zone and what people typically call like a support level, right? So it's very different. It's very different, and I will show you guys um what a demand zone looks like and what a supply zone looks like. So for this case study, we'll be using Euro USD. And for Euro USD, I'm on the 1 month time frame. So a lot of you might be thinking, the 1 month time frame, why are you on the 1 month time frame? Well, to spot very potent or very effective supply and demand zones, it is best to use the higher time frames. The higher time frames have a lot of good zones, a lot of good supply and demand zones, which are going to be highly effective, right? Highly effective in the sense that even if price is to react off of these zones, off of these supply and demand zones, you could be getting 100 pips, 200 pips, 300 pips, 400 to 500 pips easily, right? And this the amount of pips you're able to get off of these zones is very very high. So that means that you are able to make better trades, take better trades, right, and make money rather than trading on the lower time frames. Now you're not going to be trading on the monthly time frames, right? You're going to be spotting these demand and supply zones on the higher time frames, such as the monthly, the weekly, the daily, right? And then you can take your entries on lower time frames, such as the 4 hour or the 1 hour. So I'm going to quickly explain what demand and supply. Okay, we've gone over the definition. Now we're going to look at how to spot a demand zone, how to spot a supply zone, and possibly we'll look at how to trade these zones as well. So let's get into spotting demand and supply zones. So for my example, for the first example, I'm going to point out to this region right here where we have, you can see I have 1.23, right? Again, another thing with these higher time frames when you're looking at supply and demand zones or demand zones or supply zones is it usually correlates, or it usually has an extra confluence of like a psychological level or multiple psychological levels around that zone, right? So it's not really one figure to be exact, but it could be multiple figures. So it could be like a range. So we could have this demand zone between 1.2 to about like 1.28, 1.3, 1.29. So there are multiple um, psychological or key levels within that range. So for this demand zone, right, let's look here. You can see this move to this upside, right? What we're looking for are more violent moves or very, very volatile moves off of a certain level or a certain range. So from this range, you can see this move to the upside. We can see this move to the upside. We can see this move as well. We can see this move as well. We can see this move as well before price broke below that, right? So if we look at this, looking at um, the date, this is 1st of April 2004. So we've seen price at this level 1st of April 2004, and price didn't break below this level up until 1st of December 2014. So this level held for 10 years. 10 years. So in 10 years of trading, we saw price coming to this level one, two, three, four, five. So five times that this level was tested before it was broken 10 years later. Right? That means in the 10-year trading period, there were five times price visited this level, and those five times provided good long trades. Right? Now it might look the reactions might look small on the monthly time frame. Now let's look at the pips that we got from that. This was a 1,500 pip move. This was a 3,900 pip move. This was a 2,500, 2,600 pip move. This was a 2,500 pip move. And this was a 1,500 pip move, right? So you can see the pip counts that price did off of these levels, right? You can see how price moved very, very, very violently off of these levels, right? And that level held for 10 years before it was broken, right? So this is a very, very good example of a demand zone, right? And what do we mean? If you look at it, the definition I gave, right? Where are people willing to buy and where are people willing to sell? So for demand, this is a level that people are willing to buy at, right? This is not support. This is not resistance, right? This is not support. Support is way, way different from demand and supply, right? So you can see this level right here, this range from 1 point, you can look at where 265 all the way down here, right? This whole range was a demand zone, right? So if I'm to use a box tool, right, you can draw it like that, draw it across just like that. And you can see when price pushed below this demand zone, it came back to retest it. And broken, when the demand zone is broken, it could become like a supply zone. So now you can see this move off of this zone. You can see this move off of this zone, right? You can see these little moves off of this zone as well, right? And again, let's measure the pip moves. This is a 1,100 pip move. This is another 1,200 pip move. This one is a 1,600 pip move. And this one is a 1,800 pip move, right? So you can look at how price has moved off of this zone in the past. Is from 2015 all the way to 2021, right? So from 2015 till date, price hasn't still broken above this zone. So this is a very, very key zone in terms of supply, right? So if we are to see price in the future return to this zone, it's highly probable that we can get another sell, even if not to take out this lows or wherever price goes from here. But if price returns here, we could be able to see maybe another 1,000 pip move off of that zone, right? So this is how we look at supply and demand on the higher time frames. Now this is the monthly time frame. There's definitely going to be um, other zones on the lower time frame, such as the daily time frames, the weekly time frame, the 4 hour time frame, right? I do not suggest going lower than 4 hour time frame looking for demand zones or supply zones because they're not going to be as effective on the lower time frames like the 1 hour or the 15 minute because it's going to be easily broken, right? We need zones that are very, very, very strong, right? We need very, very strong zones. The higher the time frame, the stronger the zones because it's going to be more difficult for price to break below or above those zones. So now we have another demand zone right here. Let's do another quick case study. We have another demand zone right here. So right here we have another demand zone. I've drawn out this level. I have another psychological level here, 1.0500. But again, you need to know that it's not one level, it's not one price level, right? It is a zone. As we can see from this demand zone, we have one move, we have another move. Look at this one that ran into this supply level. We have this one again, and now we have price. Price has come in. This is the most recent test of this zone, right? So what are we going to be expecting, right? A move to the upside on Euro USD. So we've seen last month was bullish on Euro USD. So we're expecting more bullish momentum in the month of June, right? Now, this is why we use these higher time frames, right? We can tell from a longer perspective, right? And it's good for swing trading. My trading style has evolved to more of swing trading and possibly to evolve to more of position trading, right? So using this higher time frame demand zones, we can already see that Euro USD has the possibility to be bullish, right? If it's not going to be bullish and price breaks below, then any retest of this zone could signify supply, right? And for price to break this zone, you can see how it moved violently through this zone. We need to also see price move violently through this zone. You can see here when price moved, it didn't bounce, right? What you should be expecting when price comes to the demand zone, you should be expecting this bounce, and don't expect like price to stay to maintain like this level without pushing below this level. Price can always push below this level and then bounce back up, right? This is not support. This is not support. This is demand. You can see right here, price push below and then bounce back up, right? Push below, bounce back up. You can see right here, price didn't get to this line. Again, this demand zone is not this line. It's more of a range, right? It's more of a range. So you can look at this as more of a range, right? So now let's look at the movements off of this zone also. You can see this 800 pip move. It even did more than 800 pips, right? Because price moved all the way up to here. So 800 pips to the upside. We had another 1000 pips to the upside. So it's basically doing multiple 1000 pip moves. We saw this one again, 1800 pip. We had this one again, 1500 pips. And now price has moved only 240 pips. So we can see from past movements, we've done an average of 1000 pips, right? Average of 1000 pips. So if we were to say this could also do an average of 1000 pips, we could be seeing price coming up to at least 1.15, right? So we've already done a kind of prediction, but this is technical analysis, right? And you can't build your strategy off of like past events, right? All of this is past events, right? All these previous moves are past events, so we can't actually say price is going to do another 1,000 pips. That has to do with the state of the economy for the euro and for the dollar as well. But nevertheless, we can still get some trades to the upside. We can still get some trades to the upside for euro USD. So this is basically how demand and supply works. So let's go to like a lower time frame and see what we can also deduce from that. All right. So coming off of this, I can already see some buy setups, right? Some buy setups off of this demand. You can already see how price is bullish, maintaining this bullish move to the upside, this bullish momentum to the upside. Now, going off of the little analysis we did, we said if price is meant to do another 1,000 pips, it could be same price coming all the way up to 1.5, right? So let me just put this in. You can already see we have another form of supply. We have a little supply zone here as well, right? You can see price moved. You can see this violent moves off of this price level here. You can see this move off of this level here. So if price was to come up to this level as well, right? Is we have 1.5 around here as well. So just as I said, price could do another 1,000 pip move. So if price was to move all the way up here and do something like this, right? This could be a potential move as well, right? But these moves are not going to happen overnight, right? This is going to take months, weeks, right? So if you're trading off of these higher time frame demand and supply zones, which is actually good, it's going to give you a solid basis for um very very good swing trade ideas, right? Swing trade ideas um which are going to take months to complete. Another thing that's good is this kind of trading also like helps you get rid of over trading, right? So you don't need to be in too many trades because you're not going to have too many entries every day. You're going to have entries a couple of months, right? These demand zones on the higher time frames are not going to be tested every day. They're going to be tested after months, after weeks, you understand? Sometimes after years, right? So you're not going to be in a hurry to take trades, right? You're going to be basing your trades off of quality um, technical analysis, off of quality zones, off of strong demand and supply zones, right? Dropping down to the 4 hour, we can also spot another supply zone right here. We can spot another supply zone where we've seen price move violently off of as well. So if we are to say price can move up, this could be one of the zones in the nearest future where price will be coming into, right? So I'm not going to give away too much. I'm not going to give away too much, but for those in the community, we could be taking some trades on Euro USD sometime very, very soon, right? So I'll just end this video here. If you have questions, leave them in the comments and I'll get back to all your questions. If you want to see another part of the supply and demand strategy, just put in the comment as well. Leave everything down in the comments, or you can find me on Telegram. You can send me a DM on Telegram to understand more about this concept, right? And I'll explain everything. So I'll end this video here and I'll see you guys in another one. Thank you.